Okay, so today we're on page 9, again in Siman Aleph. We're up to Daled. So yesterday, just to review, we talked about that it's proper for anyone who's a Yoresh Shamayim to be bothered and pained over the fact that the Beis Hamikdash is in a state of destruction and we're in Galus, we're in exile. But we saw the Mishnah Berurah said, but that's in general. Now, again, that doesn't mean you should be walking around depressed. Like that's not what it means. But in other words, does it bother you? Does it bother you that people make fun of the Torah? An eye for an eye, we'd all be blind. Gandhi said, it's like it's an ignorant person. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Like it's not. So again, but Torah and Tefillah has to be besimcha, and then we talk about what simcha means. Okay, and okay, so let's go on. Now, at the end yesterday, we also talked about on the Bavel and saying that before benching, and then the Mishnah Berurah snuck in a line that the main thing when somebody says whatever they say, that he should understand what he or she should know what they're saying. Everything goes by your intent. Now, again, that doesn't mean you could kill somebody and a proper, right? Like some things are also. But again, in general, we're talking about davening and things like that. Intent, focus is extremely important, right? It's like the proverbial iceberg, right? What's underneath the surface, literally. So with that in mind, let's go on to Daled. Very, very, very interesting halacha. And you probably heard it. So the Mechaber says, Tov lamai betachnunim bekavana milaharbos below kavana. It's better to say less, beseechings, pleadings. It's better to say less with intent, with kavana, than say a lot without kavana. So without intent, just mouthing words. Now there's a long Mishnah Berurah on here. Now, obviously, the Mishnah Berurah says the best thing, the Chafetz Chaim says, is you say more with kavana, right? Right? It's one of the few things I learned in college. I got a degree in education, so one time one of the professors who I really liked, he was the head of this superintendent of schools in South Bay, California. Like Torrance, El Segundo, like around there. Very interesting person. So one time he mentioned that he asked the kasha that every student asks. Is it better to take the AP Advanced Placement class and get a B, or take the regular class and get an A? What is it better for my getting into college, getting into university? What's better? Take the higher Madrega class and get a B, or take the regular class and get an A? Yeah, it's a very interesting question. So he said, I still remember this. He said he has a very close friend who was at that time, I guess, the head of admissions at Stanford. So he asked him the shaila. So you know what his friend said? Take the AP class and get an A. In other words, no, but it's funny, but it's really true. In other words, the kid's coming up to you or whatever it is and asking, it's August. School starts, let's say, in September, saying, I'm dooming myself to failure, right? Not failure, but I'll take the AP class and I can't get an A. Who says? Work a little harder, you get an A. You take a little. So it's a really true hashkafa. It's a really true outlook and way to look at things. In other words, we shouldn't settle for okay, right? The halacha says it's good enough. I focused on the first paragraph of Shemona Esrei, so I did that. Everything else I floated off on. No, take the AP class and get an A. Yeah. It's really an amazing answer when you think about it. So that's what the Chafetz Chaim says. Whatever, if there's something beyond a circumstance or whatever, but obviously we should always strive to try to get better and better. And then the Chafetz Chaim also says, it brings down the famous idea, whether you do a lot or you do a little, as long as your intention is to do what Hashem wants you to do. He says the same thing applies by learning Torah, the same thing, that Hakol Tolui Lifnei Hashem Yisbarach Im Osed Kol Asher Bekoko Lasos. Beautiful line by the Chafetz Chaim. It's again in the middle of Mishnah Berurah Yud Beis. I should have told you that before. That everything is dependent upon in front of Hashem whether you did your best. Did your best. Right? It's a famous line. When you get upstairs after 120 years, they're not going to ask you why you weren't you Moshe Feinstein. They're not going to ask you that. Why weren't you? They're going to ask why weren't you? Meaning they'll pull out. This is what you were able to accomplish. This is what because of circumstances or your abilities or whatever. You're able. How close did you get? How close did you get to reaching your potential? That's it. That's what Hashem's gonna ask from us. So the Chafetz Chaim goes on about that. And then, I was going to say this. This is a very important Mishnah Berurah. Again, at the end of Mishnah Berurah Yud Beis, it talks about learning Torah and things like that. V'tov yoser sheyilmam b'makomam v'tzarech adam likvoa lo eis lilmod sifrei musar b'chol yom v'yom. Right, the Chafetz Chaim brings down a halacha that person has to learn musar every day. Again, we tell people this, it's I think it was a big accomplishment in Los Angeles that we brought the awareness of musar and what musar means. It doesn't mean it's not depressing. It's not meant. The Rashiva once told me somebody mentioned to me that we don't learn musar on Shabbos because it's depressing. So the guy was a shtickle Talmid Chacham. So I mentioned it to the Rashiva, and I still remember the Rashiva looked at me and said, whoever it is, I didn't mention the person's name, even though I think the Rashiva knew who it was, but I didn't want to mention his name. So the Rashiva said, he has no idea what Musar is. He said, Musar is uplifting, and it's supposed to be. But again, it's to help us reach that potential. Chafetz Chaim is talking about reaching our potential. So you need time to work on yourself and introspect and work on what's the right things to do and what's wrong. So the Chafetz Chaim says it's the halacha, and many others. It's not just the Chafetz Chaim. Many others bring it down la halacha that a person's supposed to crack open a missile. It's a shurim or tzadikim. I do this in the morning. I try to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And before I come to shul, I have certain things I learn. One of the things I learn is I learn musar. It's nice and quiet. The phone's not ringing, no emails, no that. I try not to turn on my phone before davening. Also, So an amazing thing. Once you turn on your phone, your brain is fried. So at least when you wake up in the morning, hopefully your brain is fresh. So why should I mess it up? So and sometimes there's extenuating circumstances. But that's why I learn musar. That's why I learn musar. It's quiet. Nobody's bothering me. Nobody expects anything from me at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like
you power off your phone.
No, well, I power off my phone at night. I don't. Yeah, some people. I don't know. I haven't. But people have told me I should leave my phone on all night because, believe it or not, sometimes people. It's not often. Sometimes I get questions very, 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 very late at night. That is particularly true. Is sometimes now. I can't say it happens all the time, but it happens once in a while. People call me from New York or somewhere because for them it's 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. They don't want to call Rabbi, but for me it's 9, 10. Look, it's not so bad. So I don't know how they get my number, but that's a separate issue. I don't know, but yeah. So but I turn off my phone at night. So I do turn off my phone.
At this point,
About learning musar?
not learning musar. Okay, the reason why I'm asking is that my father, Abba Shalom, was a Holocaust survivor. And he says, we're in America, we're doing everything that an American should do. I didn't go to yeshiva. I went to a public school.
So did my mother.
Okay, but it was only my wife and I that started our children to go to.
Right. Very common.
Okay, so.
Rabbi Wein someone used to tell a story in Chicago, public school, Pesach, you heard more crunching on matzah. Everybody was crunching on matzah.
No, I mean, we observed all
No, I'm saying
the Jewish holidays.
I'm saying, but people went to public school.
but we went to public school
Right.
and we didn't go, we went to
Cheder or Talmud
Yeah.
Torah or
Talmud Torah, we went to
Yeah.
Hebrew day school.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't go to a yeshiva, we didn't
Right.
go, so
very common.
this, does this pertain to a person like myself who didn't go,
You mean as far as what is concerned?
as far as
Reading
learning,
potential or
I mean,
learning Musar? What do you mean?
learning
Or-
Musar,
Well, no, so we're
I-
very fortunate, even though somebody maybe, let's say, I'm not saying you necessarily, has limited background. There's so many, it's amazing. There's so many resources. There's Art Scroll, right? You
right,
could learn anything,
right.
translate it into English and
Right.
laid out
This
to
is
you
what
very
I'm
nicely.
doing now.
Or
But I mean, my whole
what we're doing right now,
profession-
right? This so this person wants to learn Mishnah Berurah. Hate to say, there's almost no excuse not to learn Mishnah Berurah. Why? Whether it's me or like a lot of other people, go online, boom, there it is. Torah anytime, right? Or even not to, it's whatever you want to say, but there's a lot of very good classes on YouTube.
Right.
I
mean,
know
we
one.
can start now,
I know one.
even though for years and years, we didn't do this.
Right.
And
So
now we started.
So you start now, right? It's never.
It's okay. I mean,
That's the
not,
beautiful thing about Torah. A person could be older, a lot of water under the bridge, and what you keep on, you start learning. It's a famous story that they used to tell in Rav Moshe's yeshiva. There was a man who started learning Gemara when he was like 60 or older, 60, and he finished it. I don't remember if it was an Amud, 1 page of Gemara, or a blot, 2 pages of Gemara. But they mentioned it to Rav Moshe, Zeichat Bracha, and he said they should make a siyum. And supposedly they made a siyum, and Rav Moshe came and spoke. And Rav Moshe said the effort that guy put into his Amud or his blot is equal to somebody learning a whole Masechta. Right? Because it's hard.
Sure.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine you finish a page of Gemara, Rav Moshe Feinstein comes? To me, it's very inspiring. Right? I mean, in LA, I had a lot of people that started off. So we had a beginner's Gemara Shiur, and people plugged away, and it was very inspiring. These guys breaking their teeth. They're older and breaking their teeth over the words in the Gemara. It's an Aramaic, like it's kind of language is that, Semitic language. Like what's that? Listen. But you see, it's very inspiring to me. These guys, to me, I take it personally. That guy who didn't have my background, look what he's doing. So what am I supposed to be doing? It's really I'm serious, very humbling. Very humbling. Okay, so we'll pick this up tomorrow. But again, this is a famous halacha and famous Mishnah Berurah, and the Mir Tashem will pick this up tomorrow. Hey, Ashokach, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.